Good evening. This is our annual meeting. Always fall around the same time, and the time of Ben HaMetzarim or before Ben HaMetzarim. Summertime. Brooklyn is half empty. People enjoying the summer. And it seems like after 2,000 years, most of us already forgot about Beit HaMikdash, even though we mention it many, many times every day in the davening, in the learning, but we don't feel the absence of Beit HaMikdash. We don't feel the pain of not having it. And we got used to live without it. And that's the reality. That's a sad reality. The question is, can we be held responsible for that? Or it's normal? After 2,000 years, how long you can mourn? You cannot mourn forever. Even someone that lost a dear parent. After 1 year, the Gemara says, "Zera shemishtakaach min halev." Even though in reality today I see people that suffer much more than a year. So how do we explain it? The answer is when a person is alone, right? Let's say a widow, she stayed alone. Every day without her husband is the same suffering. It doesn't matter how many months passed. If she get remarried, okay, now she has a new life. So maybe then now she's able to forget her, ex-husband. But if she's still alone, even 5 years later, when you come to visit your mother, even after 4 or 5 years, I miss him, it's hard without him, just like that. So what do we learn from here? That if we experience even for 1 week life with Beit HaMikdash, and then it will be taken away from us, we will never forget it. Because every day will be a new struggle, a new suffer without something that we had. Because the nature of a human being is, he doesn't appreciate what he has until he loses it. And that's a very common problem. It's very hard to appreciate something you have and you took it for granted all these years. Someone asked me today, why did Hashem make so much bad in the world? There's bad everywhere. There's positive and there's negative. Why does the world has to have so much bad in it? It would be a perfect world, everything is good, and that's it. Why do we need so much bad? The answer is, if there was only good, no one would appreciate the good even 1 second. We would take it for granted, just like rich kids. They grow up in a mansion with servants, free credit card. They never appreciate what they have. If they have a coat for $1,000 and they go to play basketball and they forget it over there, they won't bother to go back get it, because it's 5 minutes walking. Someone who worked 3 months to buy this coat, a teenager, he would run 2 hours to get it back. Right? But someone who get everything, without understanding that nobody owes him anything, for him it's a natural way of life. So if we would taste what does it mean to live in Beit HaMikdash days, and then we would see the destruction, believe me, in our lifetime we will never forget that. But now, after 2,000 years, plus we never saw it visually. We only read about it in the books. It's not as convincing. How do I know? I learned about Beit HaMikdash many years over the years. And it was always, I thought I have a clear picture about what used to be there. Until I saw a film about Beit HaMikdash, 3D, that you feel like you are in, and you see the Kohanim singing, and you see how they play, and you see the Kohen Gadol, and you see the Samemanim, and you see how they prepare the woods, And now you walk inside Beit HaMikdash and you see all the lishakot, lishka, you go to another one and another room, and you walk around and you feel like, wow, I can touch it because they made it very real. And you see the beauty of the place, and you wonder to yourself, how did they make such a place? Even today it will be so hard to make such a place with all the equipment we have. How did they do such thing? The poles, they are so huge and wide and so tall. You need 1,000 people to move such a thing. How do they make it? It's hard to believe. And then you see how all the Olim Laregel, they come with the goats, with the sheep. You actually feel it. That's when you get an idea how wonderful it was. And now you really feel, wow, we lost so much. But besides the wonderful life in the time of Beit HaMikdash, that all of us went together to Yerushalayim, and you meet all your friends and your relatives, you stay there for more than a week. The main tragedy is that Hashem told us, עשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם, not בתוכו. Meaning when there is a mikdash, I have a house to come live next to you. Meaning I would live in the mind of every one and one, inside your heart, inside your mind. You will feel my presence. When Hashem is in the mind of a person, nonsense cannot go in. When Hashem leaves the mind of a person, the nonsense begin to go in. Just like the Rambam say, that if im harosh panui min hachokhmah, that's where all the garbage goes in. And we see it today. It's very, very simple. I like to pay attention to small details. That's, by the way, a requirement from the Torah. The key to succeed is in the small details. The key to understand big sugiot is in the small details. The key to understand what Rashi really felt when he wrote something is to pay attention to every letter. Why over here he wrote like this, and over here is a little bit of a change. What bothered him? Through that tiny change, you can understand the whole kushia that he had in mind. It comes with experience. When you learn a lot, you begin to pay attention to the small details. Beginners don't pay attention to small details. And just try to get roughly what's the idea is about. So, for instance, it's not a secret that if you go to a town that you've never been there before, and you're looking for a place to daven mincha or shachris, and you ask around, tell me, where can I get a minyan? They say you have this shul, modern Orthodox. You have this shul, Bale Batim, Orthodox. And you have that yeshiva. Doesn't matter, Ashkenazi, Hasidim, Sfaradim, yeshiva. Where you should go to daven? If you Yerei Shamayim, immediately you're going to go to the yeshiva. Why? Because reality shows that every time you go to a place of modern people, the minyan look, excuse my language, pretty lousy. 10 minutes, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, and everyone runs. And between, people talk, and they play with the phone, and they just want to get out of there. Before they even enter the shul, they think how quick we can get out of here. If you think Hashem is happy from this kind of tefillah, you're lying to yourself. You know inside that that's not the way to daven. If you go to a minyan of Orthodox Bale Batim, obviously it's better than the modern one. They're more Bnei Torah, they used to learn in the past. They have Yirat Shamayim, but they're not connected to Torah like the Bnei Torah, the Bnei Yeshiva. So you're going to see, the way they dress, how fast is the davening, maybe there's some talking over there. But when you come to a place of Bnei Torah, you see everyone with their hats and their jackets, and the Yirat Shamayim, and the Tfilat Amidah is 20 minutes. And as you see how everyone stands in front of Hashem, you look at their faces, the Yirat Shamayim, it's an honor to daven with this kind of people. But the Yetzer Hara, of course, is always pushing you to where is it going to be fast. And there's no shame about it. when they ask someone to be a shliach tzibur, if it's someone that finished fast, most of the people there are happy. Good, shkoyach, shkoyach. And if it's someone who daven with his heart and it's a little bit longer or a lot longer, oh, not again. We have to replace this gabbai. Why? No yirat shamayim. That's the bottom line. So when there is no Hashem in the mind, nonsense begins to go in. Vacations, Miami, let's move there, let's buy a boat, let's go and all the naked people go. I was invited to a wedding in Miami Beach. I haven't been in that area for who knows how many years. I say to myself, what can go wrong? I'm going to be in my hotel room. I know I cannot walk there 1 minute on the street. The wedding is in a hotel. So from the room into the catering hall, which is few floors down, what can go wrong? Oh, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? It's better to die than to go there. Better to die than to go to this place. It's worse than Sodom and Gomorrah that you read about in the Torah, that Hashem burned them all alive. It's worse, much worse. It's hard to believe how horrible people became. What level the people became. Much, much worse than the animals who walks naked in a field. Much, much worse. Such pritzut, such a horrible tum'ah in the air. If a person lives in a kosher place, better not to come out of there ever, to nowhere. That's really the reality of it. The Rambam say, better to live in the forest, in a midbariyot, in a me'arot. Why? To walk in the street. Back then, 900 years ago, every woman was modest. Even the negoyot. What could have been so bad in the time of the Rambam? Imagine if you would come here for 1 hour and see what happens here in King's Highway, or in Manhattan, or in Florida, or in all these places. It's a disaster. Those who wants to be Yirei Shamayim is a very, very difficult mission. I have to be honest, a very difficult mission. So the only way, really, the only way, there's no other way. Sometimes to achieve success, there are many ways. Sometimes there are few ways, and sometimes there's only one way. And the only way to be a Yirei Shamayim tzaddik is just to give your life to the Torah. There's no other way. Zot HaTorah, Adam ki yamut ba'oel. They're ready to die in the oil. Yaakov Ishtam Yoshev Oalim. What was he doing in a tent in his days? There was no radio. There was no newspapers, no sport, no electronic devices. What Yaakov was doing? Torah says was Ishtam Yoshev Oalim. What was he doing? Closed himself in a tent, in the heat over there, in the Middle East, all day, in 16, 17 hours, doesn't come out of the tent. Obviously, the answer is Ishtam Yoshev Oalim. There's only one thing to do, to learn Torah, that's it. We are now starting the 3 weeks, Ben HaMetzarim. Tomorrow it's a fast day. No more music and some other restrictions. There's some changes between Sfaradim and Ashkenazim in the minhagim, because after all, everything here is minhagim. But the idea is the same idea. There are 5 things that happen in 17 B'Tammuz. We all know it, we learn it every year. Briefly I will repeat. One is נשתברו הלוחות, בוטל התמיד, שרף אפוסטומוס את התורה, ובקיעה העיר, ועמד צלם בהיכל. Those are the 5 of 17 B'Tammuz. Let's analyze it. First, נשתברו הלוחות. Moshe Rabbeinu broke the commandment. That's the pshat. What's the secret? נשתברו הלוחות. The world will never be the same after this moment. Until that moment, a person would learn everything he learned one time, he remembers. That's it. Can you imagine life that you read a page of Gemara, you learn it, you understand it, and 20 years later I come and ask you about it and you remember every word? Everything by heart. You don't even need the Gemara in front of you. I ask you, hey, you know what Ketubot Amud Chet? Can you tell me right away? Say the whole page. Why? Because once you read it once, you remember it for life. Try to imagine life like this. We had few people in our generation that have photographic memory. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Ovadia Yosef, few young ones now that have unbelievable memory. But imagine that everybody would have such memory. It would be so amazing, you don't want to waste a minute. All you would want to do is to learn Torah. Because right now the frustration of learning and keep forgetting broke many people. That they gave up on their learning. Why? After so many years they saw they didn't achieve that much. And they just give up. When it comes to money, nobody breaks and nobody gives up. 60 years he's still trying to make his first million. Somehow people are very devoted when it comes to money. When it comes to Kedusha and Yirat Shamayim, he tries a few times, it didn't work, and he let go. That's it. I tried, believe me, Rabbi, I tried. So, what does it mean, ishtabru haluchot? One side of the luchot is mitzvot ben adam lamakom, and the other side is mitzvot ben adam lechavero. The part of ben adam lechavero was teared out of the 10 Commandments, meaning people started to disrespect each other, and that's what brought us the Churban. And that's what brought us 2,000 years of life without Beit HaMikdash. What is it? Sinat Chinam. Baseless hatred. The side of the commandment that talks about Ben Adam Lechavero, people started to disrespect it. That's what it means, Nishtabru haluchot. Once there's no kavod Ben Adam Lechavero, as we know the days of the Omer, the biggest tragedy in the Jewish history, 24,000 Talmidei Rabbi Akiva died. As I explained once, when there is a massive tragedy, meaning lots of people dying, Holocaust, pogroms, pandemics, obviously people, the way the people think is that the more people die, the bigger the tragedy is. How do people define a big tragedy? From X amount of number and up. If 5 people were killed in a terror attack, it's not a Holocaust. But if it comes to many, many thousands of people, everybody understands that's a very serious tragedy. There's big midat adin in Shamayim. Everyone has a different number in mind. But everyone knows that there are certain numbers, like the Holocaust in Europe. Everybody agrees that it is one of the biggest tragedies in the history of the world. But in the Torah, the tragedies are not determined based on the number of bodies that die, because bodies means nothing. Bodies is nothing. A value of a body by the chemist is $3. When I started to give lecture 27 years ago, it was $1. Inflation. Now if you want to break your body apart, some minerals, salt, iron, water, everything you have in your body, if you go to the chemist, put it on a scale, let me buy it, $3. A slice of pizza. Your body worth a slice of pizza. Why are you giving your entire life to the body that worth $3 and almost zero time to the neshama? That's a big question. The neshama, there's no price that can buy a neshama, any amount. If a person would about to lose his neshama and he can regain it by paying $1 billion, if he has it, it's a very good deal. 5 billion, very good deal. 30 billion, very good deal. Any amount is a very good deal. You can never say, oh, I pay too much to save my neshama. Today we can save a neshama for $1. $1. You give someone a CD for $1, 30 hours of lectures with proofs, and you make him a Baal Tshuva. That's it. And now he has 20, 30 years later, he has 10 kids, from in yeshivas, and 40 years later, he already has 50 grandkids, and 100 years later, he already have 1,000 grandkids, and almost all of them from, and all of that came to the world from $1, one apple in a supermarket. That's really what the reality is. Hashem made it so easy for us to save souls, that people don't take advantage of it. No matter how many times you talk to them, they still don't understand the importance of doing kiruv. They're not getting the point. Either they play dumb, or they are dumb. One of the two. I don't know. But if someone offers you trillions for a price of $1 and you turn it down, something in your head is not working. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger exactly what's the reason for it. It could be that you don't have the zchut. Mishamayim, mun'im me'adam. Sometimes a person wants to be generous and he gives tzedakah, but always to the wrong places. Always. Why? He doesn't have zchut. The son of Ovadia Yosef once came to him and said to him, there is this rabbi that he has a lot of knowledge in Torah. He writes great pilpulim. But maskana, always the opposite of the truth. How do you explain that, Abba? Look how much knowledge. Look how many kushiyot, terutzim, medame davar ledavar. But in the end, conclusion, always wrong. Always wrong. So he told him, the reason is because he never consult with people that are bigger than him. He doesn't agree to sit with Gdolim in a Torah and to ask their opinion about what is about to be posek. If you're not willing to be mitbatel to people that are greater than you, mishamayim, you don't have siyata dishmaya. Who can tell me where we can find what the Rav said to his son in the Shas? Proof for what he said. Who can bring me a raya from the Shas about what Rav Ovadia said to his son, about that Ploni? Anyone knows? The answer is, we have two giant Chachamim that had big yeshivot, Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Shammai was a giant in Torah just as much as Hillel. Otherwise there wouldn't be Barei Plukta, right? I couldn't be Bar Plukta with Hillel or Shammai. Right? It would never happen. But if Shammai and Hillel known to be Barei Plukta in many, many sugiyot in the Torah, that means they were more or less the same level. Same league. But how come we always posking like Bet Hillel? Ma, Shammai is never right? Bet Hillel is always right? The answer, no, of course Shammai would be right sometimes. Sometimes you're right, sometimes your chevruta is right, if you're in the same level. So why automatically always we go with Bet Hillel? Check every sugiya and decide how you want to be posking. Why it's automatically Bet Hillel? It's not fair. Prejudice? What's going on over here? The answer is because Hillel is more humble. What does it have to do with knowledge in Torah? What does it have to do with who's right in this particular argument? If an humble person or an arrogant person are arguing, and the arrogant person knows Torah, there is no chance that he was right about what he claimed? Yes, there's always a chance. The answer, yes, there is a chance. And it probably happened many times that in this particular matter, Shammai was right, but Hillel is more humble. So what's the connection? The connection is that when you are more humble, you have a lot more help from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be mekaven to the truth. And because you have such a great advantage, because you are down to earth and you holding nothing out of yourself, then we have to follow the halacha acharei rabim le'atot. There's a much, much higher chance that Hillel will be more right than Shammai. Not because he's greater than him in Torah, because he's greater in humility. And if he's greater in humility, like the Shas says, there is a much higher chance that Hashem will turn the truth to his side. So we see that in order for you to aim to the truth, you need a special merit from Shamayim, and not everyone has it. If you want another proof, the Navi Yirmiyah begged Hashem that if the stingy people do not want to give tzedakah, and they don't care and have a heart of a rock, that they don't care about the miserable people to help them out, if once in a blue moon when they would like to finally give tzedakah, do me a favor, Hashem, הכשילם בבני אדם שאינם מאורגנים. Please send them the crooks. Send them the crooks, the gamblers, the drug addicts, the fake babas, and other liars to take away their money to the garbage. Is that fair? I'm asking you. You, one of the greatest prophets in history. That's what you're wishing to Jews? That finally the cheap guy, the stingy guy, finally agreed to write a check. So, make sure he doesn't go to a kosher yeshiva. That will go through some modern with horrible ashkafa that goes against Rabboteinu. Why is it? Why is it? Most of the time he does wrong. Once in a while he does the right thing. What, you prevent the person from doing the right thing? The opposite. Maybe if you give tzedakah to the right place, it will open him new zchuyot. That the next time, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. The next time you will also give to a good place. And the third time also. And like this, he will go on the right path. What's the pshat? הכשילם בבני אדם שאינם מאורגנים. Why is it? What is he asking? The answer is someone that 9 out of 10 requests that he gets, he turns down with a cold heart, with no mercy, with no consideration, seeing people drowning next to him and he can care less about it, doesn't have the zchut to do even the one right thing, 1 out of 10. So I'm asking you, when he finally agreed to do, he has a problem, he needs to do something for his own good, make sure he go to one of the fakers. I tell you a story that my friend told me a few years ago. One collector showed up to Englewood, New Jersey. They have a very big fancy shul over there. And he came from Eretz Israel with some paper that he just had a daughter and she is deaf. And he's going to need to perform some surgeries in her ears to help her to be able to hear. And how much does he need? This was about, story is roughly about 10, 12 years ago. How much does he need? $150,000. Everybody there collected money for him. People feel bad. Person had a baby that will be deaf. Let's help him out. Why not? 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Collected the money there. It turns out that they found out later on that he's not even married and he doesn't have kids. But 2 years later, after he got married, he had a baby, a girl, and she was born deaf. What are the odds? He told me the story. Remember that guy? After all the fake story he told, Hashem gave him exactly what he was telling people. That's what Chazal say. Someone that doesn't need tzedakah and he goes and collects, guarantee that he would not leave the world until he will really need tzedakah. Someone that needs and he doesn't collect, guarantee he will not lose the world before he will be someone who gives tzedakah. He won't need tzedakah. Just like כל המקיים תורה מעוני, סופו לקיימה מאושר, and the other way around. So רבותיי, the first thing, like we said, נשתברו הלוחות. And I started to explain that the tragedies are not determined by the number of the bodies, because every person that Hashem puts on a scale has a spiritual value. Right? If you put 10 ploni, ordinary people, they learn daf yomi, go to work all day, busy with their stuff. and you put Rav Eliashiv. Rav Eliashiv is equal to 10,000 of them. 10,000 on a scale. Rav Eliashiv alone is already greater than all of them. Rav Eliashiv, there's no question about it. The amount of Torah and Kedusha and clear mind and clear heart and Kedushat ha'einayim. It's Malach. 101 years of Torah and Kedusha and Yirat Shamayim and books and Zikui Arabi and Amal Torah and Yosher and the greatest Ashkafa. 10,000 ordinary Frum Jews on a scale is one Rav Eliashiv. I'm just making up numbers to give you the idea. It could be 30,000, I don't know. Only Hashem knows to evaluate a person. Because only Hashem knows what the person does behind the scene. So he's the only one who can rate a person. We can try, but we will always be wrong. For good or for bad. Sometimes we will give a person more credit than what he deserves. Sometimes the other way around. But Hashem knows exactly who worth what. So therefore, when you have 24,000 Tanaim that died in a month, Katan shebahem mechayem metim, each one of them on a scale is probably more than all the rabbis in America combined. Multiplied by 24,000. That's the biggest tragedy in the Jewish nation. Yes, in Germany, in Europe, many people died. Millions of people died. But many of these people were not even Shomer Mitzvot. And those who were Shomer Mitzvot, were they in a level of this Tanaim in the time of Rabbi Akiva? We know the answer. So the tragedy is how much Torah was just lost. How much Kedusha was just lost. How much Yirat Shamayim was just lost. And Hashem knows how to translate it to a number. And the number of 24,000 Tanaim that all died in 1 month because of Nishtabu Aluchot, because of Mitzvot Ben Adam Lechavero, they were not makpid enough according to their level. Because of that, we got, unfortunately, the worst tragedy in the history of our nation. What is the second thing? Butal HaTamid. They used to sacrifice Shachrit and Mincha, Korban HaTamid. What's the Korban HaTamid? Korban HaTamid, it's consistency. It has to be every day. The same thing, every day. You want to be successful in life? You need consistency. Nobody ever became a Talmid Chacham without being consistent. And also, there was redemption for the sins. Kapara. You need kapara every day. Today we don't have Korban HaTamid, so we say Korbanot. Some of us are lazy, they skip Korbanot. They skip Korbanot. I sometimes go to shuls, I say, you don't say Korbanot? I say, no, but here they don't say. Why? You lose. Here they don't say, that's the minhag. We don't say Korbanot. Some places they don't say Vidui. Confession. No Korbanot and no Vidui. Why? Maybe they think each one of them is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. They don't need no Korbanot and no Vidui. If I would be one of the people of that minyan, I would do it on the side. Why not? What can you lose with that? The Rambam say, וידוי זה מצוות עשה דאורייתא. וכל המרבה, הרי זה משובח. The more confessions you do, the better it is. Why the Chachamim made us 3 וידויים every day? שחרית, מנחה, and קריאת שמע on the bed. Why? That every few hours you will already confess. Why? Chas v'shalom, if you die between shachrit to mincha, or between mincha to the time you go to sleep, you won't have accumulated too many sins. Because you just did confession. Vidui, it's already tshuva. Here, I just did vidui. So, Korban HaTamid is kapara. And people are consistent. Without that, there is no way to succeed. So, once there is no general redemption for the Jewish nation, everyone is on his own. And that's a very big problem. Everyone is on his own. Just like someone who davens in minyan and someone who doesn't alone at home. It's not the same. When you daven alone, they check you in Shamayim with a tweezer. Every little thing that is wrong with you, the Satan is mekatrek. Please don't listen to him. He's Rasha Merusha. Look at him. Look what he did yesterday. Look what he did here. Look what he did then. You have to be very brave to daven alone. Wow. How do you take such a risk? Chachamim say, Minyan goes express as one unit. One time when I went to Canada, one of my many trips there, you know, when you drive by the border on the way to Montreal, when you come with your car, they sometimes ask you to step out of the car, they check your trunk, they check your bags, they open the bags, they check inside. Sometimes they tell you pull over, they check even more. You're subject to a serious search. But when you come 100 people in a bus, the head of the tour collects 100 passports, gives it to the guy, 2 minutes, 100 people express. Nobody checked anything. What is he going to do? Open 100 suitcases now? It's going to be 2 days to check the bus. So on a bus, everyone goes smooth, express, just like in a minyan. Same analogy. So Rabotai, once there is no more general redemption, no more general tshuva, no more korban tamid every day, everyone right now is on his own, for good and for bad. What's the next thing? Saraf apostomus arasha imach shimo et haTorah. Try to imagine, God forbid, just to think about it, I want to faint. Try to imagine that you see some Arab take the Torah, God forbid, and light it in fire. How horrible we would feel. We're going to have to rip our clothes and to fall on the floor and to be depressed for months and to cry and to have a broken heart from something like this that happened, and for me getting such a punishment that I had to see it. That's a double punishment. If you hear about it, it's horrible. If you were there when it happened, that means you are more guilty than someone who heard about it from far away. That's why if Chas v'Shalom Sefer Torah in a minyan fall on the floor, the people that saw it are all responsible. They're all going to fast, they're all going to give tzedakah. Someone across the street, he already has more lenient laws. It's breaking the heart, but he wasn't there. So if Chas v'Shalom we see such thing, it will kill us. It's going to be such a pain, such a horrible feeling. Now try to imagine, by the way, you should know that in Sweden, a few days ago they burned the Quran in public with a pig together. Why they do it? They hate the Muslims. They suffer from the Muslims in Europe every day. So they wanted to get them back. What else they can do? Can't throw them out of their country. So they wanted to do something to show them we're not afraid of you. Even though they're afraid of them, they shake from them. But some crazy guy came up with this idea. We as Jews should have been very upset when it happened. Not that the Quran has any holiness in it. It's all fake, it's not from Hashem, it's nothing to do with Kedusha. Some of the things that they copy from the Torah, yes. But the Sefer is not divine, full of human errors. If you watch my film Torah and Science, you know it's not the book of God. So for me, knowing it's not the book of God, is really, nothing really happened here. But that's Chas v'Shalom, a warning for us. Who's going to be next? Who's going to be next? They're going to come after us. And Chas v'Shalom, the next thing, they're going to bring the Tanakh and burn the Tanakh. They're already talking about it. They tried to do it. But the state of Israel pulled some connection and convinced them not to do it. They're going to come with some kind of a Tanakh, and they want to show that we are against all religions, not just the Quran. That's very bad. If they burn a printed Chumash, it's not as bad as they Chas v'Shalom burn a real Torah, obviously. And depends, of course, who printed that Chumash. Maybe it was printed on Shabbat by all kinds of kofrim, like this Kabbalah Center who print the Zohar. All of that goes to the Gniza automatically. Sefer Torah shekatav Rasha, what do they do with that? It goes to Gniza. There's no Kedusha in it. Sometimes they need to cut the name of Hashem out and then they burn it or bury it. Sometimes even to cut the name of Hashem, it's not necessarily. It depends on what kind of an apikores wrote it. There's halachot about it. So, what does it mean, Saraf apostomus et Torah? It means that Hashem showed us, you don't deserve to have my Torah. That's the message. Because it's not, okay, one Torah was burned, there is another 200,000. We will write a new one. Anyway, every day there's Achnasat Sefer Torah. I never understood for what, but everybody wants to do Achnasat Sefer Torah. Sefer Torah, if you Ashkenazi, it's more than $50,000. Plus the party and all the arrangement can come to 60,000, 70,000. With this money, I make you 3,000, 4,000 Baalei Tshuva. Brand new Baalei Tshuva. So what's better? That you're going to write Sefer Torah for the memory of one of your parents or both, and they're going to leave it in a shul 20 years and you won't even see air, besides 5 minutes a year, because they already had 100 Sifrei Torah there in a basement, which they don't know what to do with, because all the big synagogues here in Brooklyn, they have Baruch Hashem inflations. Every week, Achnasat Sefer Torah. What are they going to do with that? If there was a use for it, I will be dancing. The more Sifrei Torah, the better it is. But no one uses it. The Gabbai has big headache. He has to freshen it once a year to open it up. Otherwise, it's going to collect mold from the humidity. That's the halacha, to open it once a year. How does it benefit the Jewish nation? The answer, zero. Zero benefits. You have thousands of Sifrei Torah here in Brooklyn. Each one of them is $50,000 and up. And that's the way of the Satan to make the generous Jews burn their money. That it won't go to where it's really needed. To amelei Torah and to save souls. For that, it's very difficult to collect. For nonsense out there, parties, Hanukkah party, single party, all kinds of not kosher events, they write big checks. To build another fancy building, and another one, and another one, and another one, which barely, none of them has minyan in Bichlal, just to make a $40-50 million building, because everyone wants to be the boss over there. But in reality, a lot of that is not necessary, but that's the way of the Satan. First, he tried to convince you not to do the mitzvah at all. Once he sees he cannot do it, he diverts you to a smaller mitzvah. The worse, the better for him. So, for instance, if you avrech ben Torah, you walk to the kollel with your Gemara in the morning, he knows he cannot convince you not to go. You have chevruta every day. So how is he going to make you now lose 5 hours of learning? The neighbor all of a sudden have to give birth. Moshe, can you do me a favor? Drive me to the hospital. I have my contractions. My husband is not home. I don't know what to do. Can you take me to the hospital? Oh, of course. Pikuach nefesh. Mitzvah chashuva. Right away, runs, get the car, gets her in, drive to the hospital, read Teilim for her. Feels great. Wow, I saved life today. In reality, it was pure loss. 1 hour of learning Torah, 60,000 mitzvot. Chafetz Chaim did the calculation, not me. Chafetz Chaim. That's it. So you have a stamp on it. 5 hours that he was with her, driving to the hospital, driving back, losing 5 hours of learning, 300,000 mitzvot to do one very nice mitzvah. Unbelievable investment. Are you willing to invest $300,000 to make $1 every day? Of course not. But that's how the Satan will fool you. We all know the word of the Chachamim, that if two people learn and one person is drowning in a lake, and you are the one who saw it, you have an obligation to close the Gemara and run, jump to the water and save his life. It's not open for negotiation. You must do it. You jump, you pull the person out, you save his life. You should know you were punished today because you just lost half an hour of learning, which is 30,000 mitzvot, the greatest in the Torah, limud Torah keneged kulam, to save a life of a woman or a man that drowned. Rabbi, you're too extreme, you're fanatic, you're crazy. I didn't write the Talmud. Chazal writes, גדול תלמוד תורה יותר מהצלת נפשות. So some people, I remember when I used to teach Gemara in yeshiva, I had one student in a shiur that always volunteered to go bring the lunch. You know, the family is in Monsey, every day someone else make the lunch for the yeshiva. They had a big box, they put the pens inside. So, 1 o'clock the first seder finished, they expect the food to be at 1:05 already downstairs in the kitchen. So always 20 to 1, this guy gets up. So what are you doing? I have to go bring the food. I said, I don't understand. How come 3-4 times a week it's you? It's supposed to be once a month. Why are you doing it 3-4 times a week? So he said, well, no one else wants to do it. We need to eat here, no? I said, but why you are always the first volunteer? Who else is going to bring the food? So let me ask you a question. If we would cost you right now $5,000 to go bring the food, you would go? No, ma. Of course not. So you lose a lot more, you fool. A lot more. So you should only go when there is really no other way, meaning your turn arrives and you have to go. That's it. Everyone has to go at least once a month. But why do you volunteer to be mevatel Torah? The answer is because the Torah is not important enough for you. And there's no other explanation. That's the reason. That's why you always try to be busy with other things. What do? I am a volunteer to Atzala. Very big mitzvah for people that don't learn Torah. If you bend Torah, you learn all day. מה אתה צריך עכשיו to go in with the ambulance for Atzala? There's plenty of people who don't like to learn, and they don't learn. Let them do something positive with their life. You want to be mevatel Torah to go save people that have fever or someone broke his hand? יוצא שכרו בהפסדו. But that's what happened when there's no da'at Torah. If you come to Rav Eliashiv and say, I want to volunteer, they're going to call me 3-4 times a day, and every time they call me, I have to close the Gemara. Would he say yes? One big posek would tell you yes? Of course not. That's why you don't ask. Because you already know the answer. Anyone disagree with something I say? Please tell me. שתיקה כהודאה? טוב, I hope. So רבותיי, when the Torah is getting burned, שרף אפוסטמוס את התורה, meaning a person lost his way. He lost his path, the direction in life. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows you, you don't even deserve to have my Torah. That's why it's happening right now. If it happened in your time, you know you had a reason, you had a part in that. What's the next one? Ufkea העיר. They broke the walls of the city. What does it mean when someone breaks the walls around your house? What does it mean? That your security and your privacy is no longer exist. Every human being wants a certain amount of privacy and definitely full security. Once a person doesn't have security and privacy, life is no life. That's it. Our guards is taken down. That was the fourth terrible thing that happened. And the last one, U'amad Tselem Baichal. Which one of the 5 is the worst? What do you think? burned the Torah, broke the luchot, they broke the walls, and they put a big statue of one of their idols inside the Echal of Beit HaMikdash. Which one is the worst? And Butal Tamid, that was the fifth one. If we had to now choose one of the five, that should not happen. If the Goyim would say, okay, we'll give you a break. Choose one of the five, we won't do it. Which one we would choose? Tzelem Ba'echal. In a first thought that comes to my mind, I would say that the luchot should have not been broken. Why? Because life will be heaven in this world. Everything you learn, you remember, you understand, and you never forget. I assume that every Jew would sit and learn non-stop, because it's such satisfaction that every minute you have something new and you know more and more and more. Knowledge is power, especially when you don't lose it. Everyone would want to be the Moshe Rabbeinu that knew the whole Torah, or Shlomo HaMelech, you know. But what you say is correct. Tzelem Ba'echal is the worst one out of the five. The question is why? Let's try to understand why. You said the right answer, but do you know why? Sometimes we guess correctly. The question is, what was on your mind when you say the fifth one is the worst? So what? We have Tumah, all of us Tmei Metim. No, it's very bad, of course. It's not the worst thing out of the five.
Rejection.
Huh?
It's like a rejection, like you should have this instead of this. You put the something instead of.
In order for us to understand, remember, everything has a pshat and everything has a sod. The pshat is that the Goyim wants to show we are the Balebait of Beit HaMikdash. This is our God, and we're going to put it here, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's to humiliate us. That wouldn't be the end of the world. When they gone, we'll get rid of their nonsense. But what's the symbolic things behind it? Obviously, it happens from Shamayim. We don't care about the physical problem. We care about the root of the problem. Just like when the Torah is getting burned in front of your eyes, it's Hashem telling you, you don't even deserve to have my Torah in your shul. That's why it's falling or burning or God forbid. So we get the message. When there is so many terror attacks, we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very angry at us about the lack of modesty and the Chilulei Shabbat and the Lashon Hara and Sinat Chinam and who knows what else. We get the point. There's no terror attacks randomly. Every bullet has an address and time, and it's all was written on Rosh Hashanah. If you think otherwise, you're a koifer, heretics. So the question is, if Hashem allowed these filthy goyim over there, these murderers, to put a tzelem in a echal, what is he actually tell us? Everything is midah keneged midah. What's the midah keneged midah over here?
Respect the Kedusha of the Mikdash.
That could be one of the reasons. No, what do you think? We don't deserve, we already learned that from burning the Torah.
We don't deserve Hashem.
We don't deserve Hashem. We can say that the burning of the Torah, it's more or less the same. The answer is, Rabotai, Hashem shows us that the sheker and the apikorsiut became a way of life. Just like today, so many heretic speakers, so many Reshaim Machtiya Rabim on YouTube with nice beards and beautiful hats, pretending to be Talmidei Chachamim and teach Kfirah. So many. I have a list of 16. Unfortunately, there's hundreds. I just didn't want to waste time on those who are anonymous. So I wrote those that people know. You don't have now time to write everyone who has 40 talmidim. People that are popular and they get tens of thousands of people to listen to them, they are a massive danger. So what do they teach? What kfirah? What horrible heterim they give? It's unbelievable. How can it be such thing? That's what Hashem say. That's Rabotai. This is 2,000 years ago. Imagine today what would have been. שהשקר והאפיקורסיות קיבלו עטיפת אמת לזוהמתם וכוחם למשוך חלושי שכל גדל והתעצם עד שלא אפשר יהיה להבחין בתרמיתם וסכנתם ההרסנית ומשיכתם במסווה הקדמה. Bottom line in one word, reforming, conservative, modern Orthodox now following their ways. 30 years ago, modern Orthodox were very religious. Today you have some modern Orthodox Mechalele Shabbat Befaresia. You have some modern Orthodox, they go to a wedding, he goes with his wife does not get dressed at all. Forget about not modest. At all. They are modern Orthodox, the woman doesn't cover her head. They eat in places that have no Teudat Kashrut. They have television at home. All day they watch horrible things in their phone and the internet. And they still hold the name Orthodox. What Orthodox about them? Zero. Nothing. Nothing. It's all fake. Some modern Orthodox are still religious. Obviously everyone is different than the other, but I travel, I go around, I see how they behave, I hear about their weddings, I see how they take out the mechitza. Not that it was a mechitza to begin with, there was maybe 2 feet between one board to another. That's mechitza? That's mechitza? That's it. Forget about the goyish music and the wedding, forget about all the minagei goyim over there. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. What's happening to us? What's going on over here? And obviously, when someone comes to you and asks him, who is the rabbi you're listening to? By the answer, you would be able to write a report about this Jew in what spiritual level he is, without knowing him. For instance, if he comes and say, my favorite rabbi is Rav Avigdor Miller Zatzal, you know that's a kosher Jew. You don't need to investigate. I read all his books, I listen to all his tapes. That's a person with good hashkafa, yirat shamayim. If you have someone who comes and say, my biggest hero is some university faker, who also they call him rabbi, university rabbi, that admire science so much, that every time science and Chazal contradict each other, I don't have to tell you who he will support. It won't be Chazal. So if he tells you that this professor is his rabbi, you already know what kind of a person he is. You don't need to be a genius to know. Wait 2-3 hours and you see the answer. And that's the truth, Rabotai. And that's the painful truth. I know it's disturbing some of you maybe to hear it. I didn't come here to make an entertaining show. I came here to say the truth, as painful as it is. First I speak to myself, of course. And then if you would listen also to what I say to myself, I gain a little bit more than that. If not, Baruch Hashem, at least I gave musar to myself. But that, I have experience. I see it for 27 years everywhere. It's not something I sat home and made it up. I see in my own eyes. I see from the questions people ask me. I see women who send messages about what their husband do. And then I begin to ask, and then I understand to what Kehila they belong to. And it's always the same story. If you don't accept on yourself עמל התורה, כל המקבל על עצמו עול תורה, מעבירים ממנו עול דרך ארץ. Meaning, if you accept the Torah to be all your life, that means you won't have to be busy with a lot of other things that cause you to lose your spiritual level. Because going to work in the summer in Manhattan, it's pikuach nefesh 100% every second. Pikuach nefesh! I asked my rabbi, tell me, halachically, I know everyone does it. It doesn't mean it's allowed. We do a lot of things that's not allowed. Just because everyone does it doesn't make it right and doesn't make it permitted. I asked him about Manhattan. Is this permitted to even go to work there? Or it's better to starve and to live with bread and water? Not to destroy the neshama. It's a good question, no? What's good about my rabbi is such a chacham and gaon that any question you ask him, he'll tell you right away an answer from one of the poskim and tell you where to find it. Not just Shas, not just Shulchan Aruch or Rambam or Zohar or all this. All the achronim, right away told me there's a tshuva from Moshe Feinstein about it and told me where to find. And Rav Moshe actually speaks about it. Parnasa, in the end it's permitted, believe it or not. If I would have known Rav Moshe allowed it, I would be 100% sure it's not permitted. Just because 1 million people do it every day doesn't make it right. In my eyes, I already learned there are many, many things we do and it's totally against the Torah. But if Gdol Ador writes such a thing, I have nothing else to say. So Rabotai, once the Tzelem got into the Echal, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, I'm not your God. You already an idol worshipper. Rav Wolbe Alav HaShalom, במשגיח Rav Wolbe, define what Avodah Zara means. If you ask an ordinary frum Jew, what Avodah Zara? Bow down to an idol, believe in another God, believe in a fake religion, all of that fall into that category of Avodah Zara. Worship a picture, a statue, Kochavim, the stars. That's more or less what we learn over the years about Avodah Zara, right? But Rav Wolbe add a lot more to the story. He said Avodah Zara it means giving any chashivut, any power to anything but Hashem. That's very thin. How many of us admire some big holy rabbanim, and we in our mind think the Rav can get me out of my suffering? Like we come to the Rabbi, Tigzor. Who am I, Ligzor? Please, Tagid. Say that the sickness will go away to Arafat. That's also, according to Rav Wolbe, a big problematic thing. The Rebbe, that's very, very, very dangerous, the Rebbe. There is only one Rebbe, is in Shamayim. Every Talmid Chacham, I don't have to tell you how much we have to admire him and respect him and give him kavod. That's an obligation. But to think that human beings have power on their own, meaning you give them an importance like they are some kind of a god, some kind of a spiritual magician, that's very dangerous. That's already Avodah Zarah. Some people worship the money. They have faith in their money. Some people worship the doctor. Some people worship his lawyer. Oh, he got me out of all my problems. Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach Ba'adam. Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach Ba'Hashem. Why does the pasuk has to say Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach Ba'Hashem Ve'aya Hashem Yiftacho? We got the point. Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach Ba'Hashem. What do you need to repeat now? Ve'aya Hashem Yiftacho. You just say Asher Yiftach Ba'Hashem. No? Why the duplication here?
Hashem bought somebody else too.
יפה מאוד. והיה השם מבטחו, only השם is מבטחו. ברוך הגבר אשר יפתח בהשם, אם הוא בוטח בהשם, בוטח also by many other things. Christian בוטח בהשם, and the Yoshke, and the Getchkes. They also believe in Hashem. They know that Hashem created the world. They don't think Yoshke created the world, right? The Arabs, they also believe in Hashem, but they believe in other things. That's not good. That's already avodah zarah. You know, Rav Aaron Lev Steinman Zatzal speaking about the Gemara in Masechet Gittin, page 55. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, מהי דכתיב אשרי אדם מפחד תמיד? שלמה המלך רוט, דוד המלך רוט, סמר מפחדך בשרי. My skin is goosebumps from the fear that I have from you, Hashem. His son Shlomo said, אשרי אדם מפחד תמיד. The more you're scared, the better it is for you. אשרי אדם. What does it mean, אשרי? אשרי. What does it mean, אשרי יושבי ביתך עוד יעלוך סלע? How lucky those who sit in your home, meaning the yeshivas, the synagogues today, עוד יעלוך סלע. They will come to a place that will be able to praise you for eternity. Sela means forever. Meaning the same thing they did in this world, they will have the zchut to continue forever and ever. They'll never die. That's what it means. So every time they say Ashrecha, Ashrei, 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 that means you reach a very high level. You agree? So what does it mean Ashrei Adam Mefached Tamid? That means fear is the greatest thing. If you fear all the time, you are in a very high level. That's why it says Ashrei Adam. Right? But let's see what Rav Steinemann say. The אמר רבי יוחנן, מהי דכתיב אשרי אדם מפחד תמיד ומקשה ליבו ייפול ברעה. Someone that make his heart stiff will fall into trouble, into bed. הקמצא ובר קמצא חרבה ירושלים. What's the meaning, what's the reason for the Churban Yerushalayim? That the heart of the people was stiff, stubborn, and they did not have fear. And Kamsa is the perfect example of someone that did not have Yirat Shamayim. I want to ask you a question between you and me, off the record. If today we would be in a party, yeah, so just say party, the music began. If we be in a party, and there would be all Gdolei Ador sitting in that party, with hundreds of other people that were invited, and then by mistake, they invited the wrong person, which is an enemy of the owner of the house. And the owner of the house began to insult his enemy in front of 500 people, and 100 of them are big Rabbanim and Rashi Yeshivot and Poskei Halacha, and nobody over there make a beep. No one stand to rebuke him. Excuse me, sir, you're insulting this person in front of us. We cannot. Please stop. Do it later. You cannot do it right now. המלבין פני חברו ברבים, אין לו חלק לעולם הבא. המלבין פני חברו ברבים, כאילו שופך דמים. What? All the chachamim over there and nobody made a beep? Did you ever think about it? If you would see all these rabbanim sit there and for 20 minutes the owner of the house abused that person in public and throw him out, kick him out, get out of here. After he begged him, I'll pay for the whole meal. The whole meal is on me. Here is my credit card. Charge the whole thing on me. Just let me sit here on the corner. I won't make a beep. And now one rabbi defended him. You know, if Sanhedrin ruled, 71 rabbis, all of them ruled that Ploni is a murderer. I have to be executed. What happened? They don't execute him. It has to be a conspiracy. It cannot be that one of them did not find anything to defend him. It just cannot be. Everyone unanimously wants him dead, has to be a conspiracy. So it's very interesting now. Let's say you sit in Sanhedrin and you are the 71st judge. And all 70 in front of you already say guilty. And you also think he's guilty. But if you say he's guilty, he's going to go free. You want to see him dead. So, what would you say? Not guilty. Because you want him dead. Is this allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Not allowed. He's going to go free. Don't worry, Hashem watch everything. He didn't know what to do. Did you think about how is it possible that none of the Rabbanim said anything? For years I had that kushia. Until I heard Rav Avigdor Miller Zatzal explain this whole Gemara. Who was this person that came by mistake to the party? He was a trader, a lefty liberal trader. His name was Bernie Sanders. He showed up to the party, wanting all the Jews dead. He's telling the Romans what to do, where to catch them, where they hide their things. Cooperating with the enemy, just like George Soros, Imach Shemo, that helped the Nazis against the Jews. No wonder they left him alone. Until now he gave $33 billion to fight Hashem. $33 billion he donated, now $1 of it went to a good cause. Everything to destroy the world. The two people that made the biggest damage to the world in the last 20 years is Hussein Obama and George Soros. Destroyed the world. Someone like this, רשע מרושע יימח שמו וזכרו, ברני סנדרס, שונא היהודים, צורר היהודים ושונא התורה, show up to the party and wants to hear what the rabbis have to say, that he runs quickly to tell the enemies that the Jews conspire against him. Of course the rabbi won't support. They will defend such a rasha merusha. Someone who defends such a person, he himself is an enemy of Hashem. Someone that finds favor in one of these kofrim, sonei Hashem, and speak nicely about them, or defend them in any way, he himself fall into the category of Chanefim, מתחנף. See אורחות צדיקים, chapter 24, שער החנופה. 4 כתות אינם רואות פני שכינה, one of them is חנפים, מתחנפים. אנשים that kiss up to the wicked people. I suggest strongly, I recommend strongly that you read it tonight before you go to sleep. Tomorrow you forget. Read it, it's only a few pages. After you read it, you understand every word I say here now. How dangerous it is to even try to defend one of these enemies of the Torah. Enemies of the yeshivot. Pour all kinds of abomination and dirt. Machtia Rabim, destroying the religion, destroying the ashkafa of the Jewish people. You want to defend him? You want to defend someone like that? What does it show about you? That a person that spits at your father in heaven, you want to help him? It just made you just like him. You and him, there's no difference. If you admire Haman, you are Haman. You admire the Hamas, you are a Hamasnik. You admire the gays, you are one of them. You admire Torah haters, you are one of them. What? I have a yarmulke. You know where you should put your yarmulke. You're nothing better than them. Tell me who your friend, I tell you who you are. You walk with the biggest gangster murderer on the street, you are one of them. But I never kill. Doesn't matter. If you're not allergic to people like this, if you're not vomit when you see them, if you're not fainting when you see these people, something about you is just as bad as them. I always tell my students when you go on a date, they ask me, what should I talk? I say in the first 5 minutes, ask her what's her opinion who should be the President of the United States? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? So what does it have to do with the date? I said, that will save you a lot of investigations. If she say, I vote Democrats, get up and leave the date. Don't stay there another second. There's nothing good will come out of this girl. Nothing. Her hashkafa is totally off. She's pro-abortion, pro-gays, pro-horrible thing, this Democrat, Reshaim. Get rid of her right away. Do it in a polite way, but get rid. If she says she's Republican, doesn't mean she's tzaddiket. Now you have to investigate, but at least there is a chance. That's all. I didn't say that anyone who votes Republican is a tzaddik. Let's check how much Torah he learns, how many mitzvot he keeps, what averot he does, and then we will analyze it. But at least there is a chance. So, Rabotai, a person wanted to build a terrace in his apartment. You know, in Israel, people build terrace that they should have a sukka place, because otherwise you cannot keep mitzvah sukka. The neighbor is against it. The neighbor underneath, the sukkah maybe block the sun for him. He doesn't have a terrace, but the sun maybe goes into the house. He doesn't like to see now a roof on top of him. It became a big fight, and he did not let him build. The neighbor from the third floor is very upset at the neighbor from the second floor. The neighbor from the second floor say, I can care less about your kpeda. You can be makpid as much as you want. That's my right to resist your terrace. A few weeks later pass by, and the neighbor from the second floor who did not agree to let him build the terrace, now is feeling very bad. Medically. They send him to the doctor. The doctor sends him to MRI. He says, after he checked the MRI results, he says, I suggest that you will go to an expert, ASAP. Now you know things are serious. Very, very sad and concerned. He runs quickly to who? What's the address in Israel when hopefully you will never find yourself in this situation? But if it ever happened, what's the first address to go to? Rav Firer, Tzaddik Esod Olam, helped tens of thousands of people, gave great advices. He is Meshadech Shiduchim, Mezavek Zivugim, between Cholim and Rofim. He knows according to this sickness, what hospital, in what country, and what specialist will help your problem. It's mamash chokhmah gdola. Gets up 4 in the morning, I heard. He comes there already very early to the Misrad. All day he's helping people, and he has a large team of people working with him. On the way to Rav Firer, he said to his wife, maybe we should compromise with the neighbor on the third floor. Thinking now maybe Hashem is punishing me for avoiding sukka to my neighbor. What do you think now is the right thing to do? Is it better late than never, or it's too late for him? What do you think? So I tell you now, many things in life happens to us. If we have big yirat shamayim and we understand akol, it's everything hashgacha pratit, and we understand any surim belo avon, and we understand that everything is midah keneged midah, now we can see our life with clear eyes, clear spiritual eyes. The heart is spiritual, the mind is spiritual, the eyes are spiritual. It's a great system. Everything functions correctly. The eye see, the heart understand, the heart does not resist, the mind understand. And you know right away, if I'm suffering, I have done something wrong. What am I suffering with? Has to show about what I've done wrong. If I can't see it, let me go to a Chacham. We had Rav Chaim. Rav Chaim used to tell people, do this and this and that. How did he know? Only Hashem knows. So in between the details, why Hashem gave this person what he had. Sometimes it didn't look like connected. But obviously he doesn't just pull something out of his sleeve. Yeah, top. Anyway, Rabotai, once the decree is already made, is 1,000 times harder to fix it. 1,000 times harder to fix it. I say it a few times in my lectures. I speak every night in Tuesday, every Tuesday night on Coney Island between S and T there. I say to people, if God forbid, you don't feel good, terrible pain, migraines, heart problem, you don't know, chas v'shalom, cancer, but you don't know yet. You only suspect that you have something serious. Sometimes it's nothing. The pain can be psychological, the pain can be something different than what you suspect. But who wants to take a risk? So what do? You want to go right away to a doctor. But the Gemara says that before you run to the doctor, run to the Chacham. What for? What for? What is the Chacham going to do for you? The Chacham is not a doctor. He cannot perform an MRI, and he cannot find the cancer. Plus, he cannot send you to any specialist. There's one thing the Chacham can do. What? He can be mitztaer for you. Chacham, tzaddik, every Jew comes to tell him about his problem, breaks his heart to hear problems of people. You know the famous story of the Klosenberg Rebbe that they lost, I think, 11 of his children, the Nazis murdered them. And one of his Hasidim came to cry about one son that he had, and they murdered his son. And he was sitting with him, crying. Then that person realized, what's going on over here? I lost one child, he lost 11, and he cries for my child? And I say to him, Rebbe, why are we crying for my son? We should cry for your sons. I lost one, you lost 11, you are much more miserable than me. That's when the Klosenberg Rebbe got serious, stopped to cry, and say, Chas v'shalom, I'm not miserable. I'm very happy with what Hashem gives me always. Hashem natan, Hashem lakach, yehi shem Hashem mevorach. Looks a little bit like a hypocrisy here. The guy said, whoa, so what, this was all a show? You don't care, you are happy, you're not worried about what happened to you, but you cry with me for mine? Doesn't add up. So the Rebbe told him something amazing. He told him, when people come to me to cry about their problems, very often their problems is not even an issue. But I see how much they suffer from that issue, thinking it's a big problem. I cry for their suffering, not for why they suffer. For the suffering that they have, even though it's a billionaire came and he lost now $100 million, but he has another 900 million. And he cried and he killed himself, all his hair became white, and his pulse, and he's shaking, and he has anxiety, and he takes pills. Oh, Rabbi, what a tragedy. I made a stupid investment. I lost 100 million. Oh my, I'm getting a heart attack. I can't sleep at night. A normal person would think, look at this guy. He has 900 million. He's worried about. Okay, a setback. But come on, grow up already. Move on. But you see how much he suffers. See, you suffer because he suffered, not because of why he suffered. So he told him, I cry for you because I see how much you suffer without your son. It breaks my heart to see you suffer. Same thing over here. You come to your Rebbe, and he cries with you, or if he davens for you when you leave, before you even get to the doctor, read some Tehillim for you. That could already change everything. Why? You deserve to get what you got, but he doesn't. You actually made him your partner to the problem. If Hashem wanted to punch you, and he is getting the punch with you together, that's already a different story. That's already something for Hashem to reconsider. So I always tell people, when you chas v'shalom have a problem, when you have a doctor's date, when you have an MRI, and after that they're going to find what you really have, don't wait until they tell you what you have and then start giving tons of tzedakah. It's too late already. Do it before. Why? Because no one in the world still knows, chas v'shalom, that you have cancer. Nobody knows. It's just a suspicion. The doctor is sending you to a specialist to do MRI, to CAT scan, whatever they call it. Once you already do it and the results would come and they see it, it's much, much, much harder to get rid of it. Because it's against the law of nature. You need a clear miracle, nes galui. You're not exactly Avraham Avinu, and also not Nachum Ish Gamzu. Therefore, because of that, now it's already too late. Because you need a nes galui, and you don't deserve a nes galui. Now you're going to have to put thousands of people to pray and to learn for you, and you have to give this yeshiva and that Rabbi and this yeshiva. So be smart. Before the decree was published to the air, give a lot of tzedakah, do tshuva, do everything you can. Why? If you had it, Hashem takes it out. No one will ever know you had it besides Him. No one. He put it there, He will take it out. After they already told you you have it, good luck with this, my friend. So why people don't do it? It's very, very known thing. I didn't discover to you anything right now. Right? Why people are not doing it? Because the Yetzer Hara tells them, come on, you don't have anything. Isn't it a shame you're going to give now a few $1,000s to this yeshiva, and a few thousand to that, and a few thousand to this tzaddik, and in the end you're going to spend 20,000. Imagine in the end you find out you didn't have anything, it was false alarm. That's how the Satan works on us. What kind of a stupidity is that? If you give it to some faker that can help you to get out of a trouble, I understand why you say, oh, Chaval, I burned $20,000 to this crook to help me against the police case, whatever. But if you give it to a yeshiva, automatically you already won. Even if you were not sick, what do you worry about? You can never lose. But that's how the Yetzer Hara works, Rabotai. So, Rabotai, that's what's happening over here. Ashrei Adam mefached tamid. You want not to have reason to be afraid? Make sure you're always afraid. When you are always afraid from Hashem and Midat Adin, and to do things against Hashem's will, you will never have any other reasons to be scared. If you don't have Yirat Shamayim from Hashem and you're not scared of the punishment of Midat Adin, every week Hashem will send you all kinds of reasons to be scared. An Arab, a bomb, this one, the government, the neighbor, the police, everything, something new, every day. Why? Mida keneged mida. You're not afraid of me. You'll be afraid of Ahmed. You'll be afraid of who knows what. The conclusion, Rabotai, 3 weeks begin. We will fast. We will avoid music. We will not take shower. We will not have haircut. We'll do things. Those are symbolic things. Not even 1% of the importance of those 3 weeks. The main thing is to do, like the Rambam say, all these ta'aniyot were given for a person to fix himself and do tshuva. Since the reason we are in this situation is because of sinat chinam and racism and baseless hatred and disrespect to each other, and everyone barks at each other non-stop, then that's what we have to do in the 3 weeks. More than the rest of the year. Extra special attention by the way you talk to people, by how much patience you have, by how you evaluate people sometimes with your ego. Put it down. extra tzedakah, extra davening, more patience for Hashem and His Torah. Don't rush out. Stay after the davening a few minutes, read Tehillim. Have more kavana. That's the avodah now in this time. The music, that's what's going to make a difference. Your hair will be a little bit longer, that's what's going to make the difference. That's just symptoms from the outside. You've got to touch the root of the problem. The root of the problem is to fix the heart. Thank you very much and good night. Baruch Adonai לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר